Welcome to Talk Thursday. My name is Catherine Kavanagh. I have the wonderful, amazing Sinead D with me tonight on the screen. So if I'm looking over that way, I'm looking at Sinead. Sorry, I should have put us side by side. I probably
We
should.
are side by side on
Or,
my screen.
oh, right, that's grand. Yeah, just on this screen, I just look at it. I'm talking to myself. Sinead is not the first time I've done that, won't be the last time. I'll come back a bit because I'm on people. So Sinead is an acupuncturist. Did I say that right? I was saying
That's right, acupuncturist, yeah.
Acupuncturist. Extraordinaire, as I said. That word came into my head and I said, I'm going to just put that on the page because you're extraordinary what you do, considering that your vision, your problems. I know I don't even want to say problems, but you know what I mean? Your vision.
Yeah, my vision is, I'm really lucky. I mean, my vision is perfectly, it's perfectly good enough to work in good lighting. Then I can see absolutely fine. It's really when I'm out and about, and if somebody is, maybe 6 feet away from me or something like that, I'll just walk past them because I won't see them. So people think I'm ignoring them sometimes, but I'm not.
So we could all have that sometimes. We see people and just walk past.
Yeah. That is true.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've been known to do that years ago, but I actually don't. Used to be years ago in my own head, and I'd be going through Northside, I'd be thinking of things to do, and they genuinely wouldn't see people, and they think I was doing it on purpose. Happened to me a few times, and they pulled me up over, and I went, "No, I genuinely didn't see it." Mm-hmm. So yeah, Sinead, how I know that about you, I know you through We Can and We Will and Amanda Delaney.
That's right.
The group, and I seen you did a talk one night, and that's so I didn't know you start telling the story of when you were in hospital. I think, was it in hospital or you worked in the hospital?
That's right. No, at the time I wasn't working. At the time I was the one in the bed as opposed to the person working there. And I had a really significant hemorrhage in the back of both my eyes. So it was quite an eventful night. That was the first time I actually spoke publicly, and I spoke publicly about that. It was the most terrifying night of my life. But since doing that, and I'm really, really grateful that I got the opportunity to do that.
So because terrifying doing the talk or the night that...
Grateful that I did the talk, because then it gives you, once you do something once, it gives you the courage. Then it takes the fear out of it. So then that's the only way you can improve at anything is by practice, basically.
Yeah. That's what I say all the time about people getting on camera and that, and I give them tips, but like that, people have to go away and implement them. It's like anything, and practice it. And that's one of the things I say, practice. It's the only way you get better at anything is to practice. It's like driving a car, it's like doing interviews or anything like that. The more you do it and things go wrong. But fair play to that night you got up, because I think Amanda asked me a few years ago and I said no.
Yeah. Did you never talk as We Can?
No, believe it or not, and I love talking, and I've never gotten up. She asked me. Now, probably at that stage, I'd say the confidence wasn't as good. Maybe now, I was still gaining confidence, even though I had the business and that.
Yes.
I probably would do it now, but it's not something that I really want to do, to be honest with you, to go up and talk on the stage. It's weird, because I know everybody in the group and a lot of people, that's what they love, and get up to tell their story. And for some reason, I've no interest in it. I've no interest in the book. And I mean, there's lots of things I've happened to me I could do it. Maybe a film or something like that. I don't know, down the line, maybe.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And what kind of a film would you like to make?
I don't know. Even when I say film, I kind of go, God, who to play me as a film, like, or a documentary about my life or something like that. And then I wouldn't
pick somebody fabulous.
Somebody fabulous.
Saoirse Ronan.
Saoirse Ronan, yeah. Well, she's a few years younger than me. The light's gone off.
But you can do the younger Gabrielle. Or not Gabrielle, blimey O'Reilly. Catherine, I was talking to Gabrielle.
My light's gone off as well tonight for some reason. I have it plugged into a power point. So if I've gone into a bit of shadow, it's the light has gone off and the battery must be gone. I never charges. Yeah. But we're rambling on there. We're supposed to be talking about you and your interview.
All right. Well, do you know what? I'll talk about fear of needles and acupuncture, because it's something that's absolutely huge for some people, and it's why they don't necessarily come and have acupuncture. And it's exactly the same as me standing on the stage, terrified, until I was up there and I actually started. And it's the same with acupuncture. But the extra thing about acupuncture is that you can start with needles for the person that's on the plinth, and relax the person before you put any needle anywhere in their body. So acupuncture is amazing, and it's there's no such word, I don't think, but the most unscary thing to have done once you actually go for the session and you just let go of that fear. Nobody has ever not come back because of the needles. No one.
Yeah, I don't have a fear of needles myself. I know when I was pregnant and stuff, a lot of people go, oh, the needle, and that, they're taking or you might not know, but when they're taking blood from you to check it.
Yes. Yeah.
And I remember sitting there and they were taking the blood and I was sitting looking at it, the needle going in, the whole lot. And then I was saying, oh, maybe I should turn away, because it says I should. So I obviously haven't got a fear of it, so.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for some people, and I know it's really real. I had when I was a young kid, I was about 9 years of age, and I had a really bad experience because of a doctor who had no communication skills. And I have to say, I've never met anybody I guess whose communication skills were so poor, and he terrified the living daylights out of me. So the next time my mom took me for a blood test, I just ran. I mean, my mother running after me, come on, whatever, for this blood test. So I understand what that fear is like. So it's really important that it's like you when you're doing video and with people who are so nervous, and it's kind of how you are around the person that allows a person to feel relaxed.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And people have said that to me, when I am training them and that, or bring them on live.
Yeah.
In the summer, there was one, Sharon Samuel, she was in England and that, and I was coming out and she must have misread me when I said, I was going to give her a bit of training and go live on the Thursday.
Right.
And she was kind of going off, oh, see you now, thanks, that was great. And I went, no, you're not going anywhere, we're going live now. And she, what? Live with me, But she said afterwards that was, lucky I didn't really realize that we were going live. It would have made me very nervous. And she said, you made it so easy. A few people have said that, I kind of just chat to them, make them at ease, ask them certain questions. Because I'm aware, like you said, things happen to you and people make you feel weird and all that kind of thing. So I'm really conscious of how people feel. It's probably because I work with people with disability and stuff like that. I'm very conscious of not making them feel, not included or not relaxed and all that kind of thing. So it's something that it kind of comes natural to me and I'm aware of, so probably through the video, I do that naturally as well. But here I am talking about myself again.
That's fine.
I come here every week and I say, I'm going to interview people and just listen. My dad said that for years to me. You need to listen. Good. And I end up coming in and start talking about myself and that, But yeah, Sinead, you're specialized. I know you're acupuncturist and the needles and all that kind of thing. And it's to do with Chinese. That's where it came from, wasn't it?
Yeah, originally from the East. So China, Japan, lots of other countries actually. But it's been in the West for many, many years. And it's interesting because initially in the West, we used to, we said that's not real science, or, we certainly didn't look at it in the same way as we look at it now, because now acupuncture is practiced globally. And there's a ton of evidence to show how effective it is, I suppose, particularly for areas of like pain. And it's so brilliant for stress, anxiety, that kind of management of that, I guess. And the other things acupuncture is really good for are, regulation of periods, and for people who are trying to get pregnant. And what it's perfect for is for people who are on lots of medications and they don't want to ingest something, but, they need, they could just be, not just be, but they could be in pain and they don't want to add on more drugs into what they're already taking, because every medication we take is a side effect. Now, I know it's necessary to take medications. I'm not saying to people don't take medications, but for something like pain, then you have another option. So that, why would you not try that? It's perfectly safe. There's so much evidence to show that it works. There's lots of different systems of acupuncture. And it's, I find it fascinating. I'm a bit of a Chinese medicine geek. And once you find one system, and then you think, well, there's something, it's not, it can't fix this for me, or it's not doing that for me. Then I look for other systems that will fill that gap for the people that come to see me. So I suppose I'm talking about things like, I did what's called neuroscalp acupuncture, and that is purely the needles go on the head, and they don't go into your head. The needles are almost flat and they're just threaded in, or they're just barely popped in under the skin there. And there's a lot of research that has been done in that area as well. And it's hugely beneficial who have issues with their nervous system. And that wasn't available to me before. So I like to be able to have something that I can offer people, so at least they can try it and see if it will work for them. I suppose with pain, I know it's going to work unless there's some other underlying condition, but I'm straight up with people. So, I'll tell them, either I'm absolutely know that I'll be able to help them, or come for, I usually say 3 sessions, but in the first session, they'll notice a difference. So it's not that I tell people, oh, this is going to work for you, and then they come along and they leave and they don't know if it's worked or not. You come for the session and in first 5-10 minutes if this is making a difference for you.
Oh,
That's
really?
how fast it should work, basically.
Okay, so they'd know instantly, that it's working.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you can be really lucky. Like, it's very rare, but I had somebody who came in with a shoulder injury one day, and she'd pulled her shoulder, and it was chronic. She'd had it a few months. 1 needle, pain gone. It was incredible. And I'm going, oh, yeah, I do that all the time. I didn't say that. Of course I didn't. So usually you'll need more than 1 needle. And usually if it's a chronic problem, usually you'll need more than 3 sessions. But with 3 sessions, it allows, the person can come in, and initially there's that fear I spoke about. So, by the end of the session, they're relaxed and they know that it's working for their pain. And then the person gets to know you a little bit, because, when you go to see any healthcare professional at all, you need to like the person. There needs to be that kind of, it's the end of the day, I can't think of the word. Say that. What are you going to say?
Rapport with them, is it? Yeah.
Okay, like that you connect with them, on some level. You think, yeah, I'll get on with this person, or, I like her because she, she's gives me the correct information, or she makes me laugh, or it's not stressful, or I enjoy the session. These are the things I'm hoping that people will say. And my aim is always that the person who walks in that door feels better when they're walking out about themselves. So that's my aim. So hopefully that's what I'm achieving every time, but it's certainly what I aim when anybody comes in my door.
Yeah, that's it. That's your end purpose.
End goal, yes. And to obviously resolve the issue for them as well. So by the 3rd session, I can usually I can tell people, not usually, how many sessions I think that they're going to need to complete, to resolve the issue that they come to me with, basically.
Okay. So. Would they, when they it resolves it after the few weeks, mm-hmm. Would the teen come back, or is it gone forever? Would it come back in a few years or so?
Okay. Yeah, it really depends on what it is. So I'll explain to you. So I had a young guy, and when we're younger, we've got really good circulation, a really efficient nervous system. So we heal a lot quicker. So I had a 17-year-old guy who played soccer. He was the goalie. And whatever way he turned or twisted, one of the discs on his back bulged. Oh, and so he was in absolute agony. And when he came in the door, I said to him, so what's your pain level at between 0 and 10? And he said 20. I mean, and I really, again, I can't tell him how much I'm going to resolve it in the first session, but we knocked it down 50% in the first session. And he just was so skeptical about it. He did not think this was going to work. So when he was leaving, I was a little disappointed that it wasn't.
So you went for a secondary. Yeah, no, it went. So I actually got a side by side. I couldn't see or hear you. It froze.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry. It's probably my connection. Sorry. I was probably telling me I'm talking too much, but so he got 50% in the first session, went out the door smiling. And he could move. He could barely move when he came in. So his second session, 100% pain gone. Third session, 100% pain gone. And that was it. He needed no more sessions. Absolutely fine.
Yeah. So that was it. He didn't need to come back again. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you have somebody, or if I have somebody that comes to see me that's a lot older, so our circulatory system is not as efficient, and our nervous system is not as efficient. Through life we have wear and tear. That's just a fact of life. And for those people, it can take longer. Usually the average is about 10 to 12 sessions. I'm just trying to think of somebody, a woman in her early 70s who had broken her foot. And when she got the plaster off, she was in an awful lot of pain. But, the hospital said, no, you're fine now, go off. We don't need any physio, nothing. And she couldn't weight bear fully on her foot. So she came to me for 10 sessions and left pain-free. But very quickly, you can continue back doing your daily activity so she could walk her dogs again after session 3, you know, and this is what you're aiming for. But the reason people have to come back for it is because you knock the pain down and then it comes back up a little bit, and then you knock it down and it comes back a smaller amount, and then you knock it down again and it comes back up, but it stays away for longer. So it's a cumulative effect. That's how acupuncture works.
Oh, right. Yes.
But it's a permanent effect. I suppose there are some people who maybe have, I might be going into a little bit too much detail here, but some kind of a significant medical history, or there might be something structural and their pain comes back after a few months. So they'll come for a top-up session. I'm thinking of somebody who was supposed to have hip surgery, as in a hip replacement, and acupuncture worked brilliantly for her. So she came to me initially for 12 sessions. I actually think I added some herbs in for hers, for her pain as well, and for other health issues. And then she sees me every few months. She'll see me for 3 sessions close together in the same week. And then off she'll go for another few months. But it means that she can live a pain-free life. She's avoiding surgery. Now, I'm not advising her to avoid surgery, but
it's her choice at the end of the day.
Yeah. And she's going to her doctor and she's saying, I'm pain-free. And he's, well, why would you have surgery if the pain isn't there, you know?
I'd be like that. I've never had an operation, been knocked out for operation. I hope to God I never have to, because I have this little fear. I don't know what it is. I'd hate to be knocked out for an operation. So if I thought someone like you could sort me out without an operation, sorted, you know, I'd go for you the rest of my life if that was the case. So rather than have an operation. So, you know, happy days is exactly. I didn't think you could do that kind of thing. I thought she'd have to go for it and then come to you for the pain maybe, or something like that, you know. So that's fantastic that you can do that for her. You know?
Absolutely. And I mean, and why would you not love to do this kind of a job, you know? When you can help people like that, it makes such a difference, you know? So I love it.
You leave them smiling going out the door, and that does something for you. You've a job accomplished. Is that the word?
Absolutely accomplished. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Job satisfaction for sure. The other part of my job, so I use what's called pulse diagnosis. And
I had it wrote down
there. Pulse diagnosis is fascinating, and really it's about 4 years I'm using that now. And with pulse diagnosis, it's like, say, a doctor is using a stethoscope to listen to your lungs to see if you've got fluid in your lungs, or to see if you've got infection in your lungs, things like that, okay? Or they use a stethoscope and they listen to your heart. And from the sounds that you hear from the heart, you can tell, you know, how efficiently the valves are working, or, you know, the rate of your heart. Lots of, you know, and they can listen to just lots of different sounds, tell us different things. Mm-hmm. And in Western medicine as well, you take somebody's pulse, so you know the rate that somebody's heart is beating at, but you're not really looking. There are a few pulses that you'd look for in Western medicine, but you don't really use that much. It's more machinery and things like that nowadays that people use. And with pulse diagnosis, it's the same thing really. I'm just feeling the pulse. It's in different locations along the wrist, and it can tell me what's going on in different areas of the body. So when I have somebody in front of me, before they tell me anything about, you know, if they have a chronic illness or something like that, I ask people not to tell me anything. And then I ask them questions as I'm gathering history from them. Do you feel this here? Because what I'm looking for is the most standout pulse, or the most significant thing that's going wrong with their health at that time. And then obviously I'm not an MRI scanner, so I take a full history as well, because, you know, my background is in nursing, and I like to dot the I's even and cross the T's. I need to make sure that the person in front of me is very safe. So I take a full history, but really the pulse tells me most of the information that I need to know. And people love it because it's fascinating, you know. I'm
fascinated by it as well, how you could tell different parts of the body from the pulse.
Yeah, you know I mean? Absolutely. And when I started learning it, I saw this guy, I was watching an acupuncture training online, and this man called Bob Doan was in the audience, and he was asked to come up and just demonstrate for the trainer at the time. And I kind of thought, who is this guy? And suddenly he started showing up in lots of online training videos. So I Googled him, as you do. And he was coming to London doing a training course. So I booked it. And I mean, he was incredible. It was absolutely amazing, because sometimes, you know, people can talk up what they do or how it works. And this man was so charismatic, and it was such a simple technique. Now, simple things take a long time to learn and to develop the skill. So he was based in the States. So I then went over, and I've done some apprenticeships with him just to hone that skill and to learn exactly how to do it and where it's most useful. And I've done a lot of training with him since then. So I love it. I mean, it's just fascinating. It's like you and your job. I'm sure, we learn new techniques, and there's so many different, I suppose, subjects, lots of different subject matter that you can work with, and lots of different types of people. And isn't it fascinating?
Yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah, exactly. When you do something that you love, it's like me, each training session is different because it's different person needs different things. Like there was a girl today, messaged me on LinkedIn. I think she was in America or somewhere like that. She was asking about time zone, and she was asking about training that, and like that you have to ask and see what exactly they need. And it ended up, I was saying I do tips on, the light, the sound, all the kind of the basic kind of things. And no, I know all that. She said, I want to know about what energy comes across on the camera. And I was going, well, I can't really teach.
Yeah.
I mean, that's you and your personality, and you're trying not to be rude to somebody either, so each case, like you say, like yourself comes in, is different. Somebody wanted me to train them how to use Zoom. They were terrified of Zoom. So, do you know what I mean? They'd gone into calls, but they'd never set one up with that, so you never know. And like that, you have to tailor to, obviously mine isn't as detailed as yours is, and your pulse and stuff like that. I didn't think you could tell, but it's great for you. It's more holistic, you can get a more holistic diagnosis, I presume.
Absolutely. But it's like every system of medicine. Western medicine doesn't have the solution for everything. It has a solution for lots of things. Chinese medicine doesn't have the solution for everything, but it has solutions for lots of things. So, and I don't know anything about Ayurvedic medicine, in India, there's lots of different types of medicine now that has an evidence base to it, and they all have something to offer. So it's really, I suppose, for people to find something that works for them ultimately. We don't just accept nowadays that there's only one way to do things. So and
it's kind of like pharmaceutical companies, they're big money, big business, all that kind of thing, and they're taking over and they make people afraid not to use them. It's kind of like people when they're going through treatment for cancer maybe or something, they want to go into a hospital and be treated there and get tablets and stuff like that and all of this kind of thing. And it might necessarily, they're probably afraid.
I have to say, I have to be totally honest and say, if I had cancer, I would be going to a hospital.
Yeah, well, I'm probably the same as well, but there is people that are, I would say they're very brave, like, because I'd be going in and wanting to be treated that way,
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually, and just to mention ARC, because ARC is such an important organization, I volunteer in ARC Cancer Support, and they're opening the services again to people in January next year. So I am so delighted. It's for people who have cancer or who have had cancer and they're finished their treatment, or people who are supporting them. So family members or very close friends, maybe. And basically, all the treatments in there are free. I do acupuncture because acupuncture is brilliant for anxiety and stress relief, and just somewhere that you can get on a plinth and go, just let out a big...
Like a release valve kind of thing. It's like you're sticking the needles into a balloon kind of thing and letting the air out, isn't it?
There's huge stress around illness for people. And if you're looking after somebody who's really, really unwell, you feel completely powerless. What can I do for this person? So it's really important that people like that in that position know that they actually need support too. And in fact, sometimes they need the support of ARC more than people who are being treated in the hospital, because the people being treated in the hospital have lots of support around them. Right. I think that, sorry, go on, Catherine.
No, so it's the carers you're talking about.
Absolutely, the carers, absolutely, yeah. But are not even just the carers. I mean, you may have a family member who's been diagnosed with cancer, and you might be terrified. So you might need some support around that. So there are counselors there. At the moment, they're doing Zoom online yoga. They do meditation, and they have brilliant therapists in there. So, and there's usually, you get X number of sessions, which are free to anybody that wants them. All you have to do is go and register with ARC.
Oh, right, yes. And is that all around the country kind of thing, or is it based?
So actually there are a few ARCs, but the one that I'm associated with, they are actually separate organizations, is in Dublin. So there's one in Eccles Street opposite the Mater Hospital. The one that I'm based in is just behind Vincent's Hospital in Herbert Avenue. It's called Lowell House. It's all online though, if you just search ARC
Yeah, you
Cancer
find it.
Support.
Yeah.
And there's another one on the South Circular Road that's just behind James's Hospital. And they're all houses. So it's a non-clinical space that you're coming into. So, you know, if you go for patient, you know, outpatient appointments or something like that, sometimes you don't want to be hanging around inside in this hospital, in this clinical area. It's just nice to go and have a cup of tea and just chat about, you know, the weather or something else beside. You just sometimes want to get away from, you know, talking about illness, or, you know, sometimes you can go into a waiting room in a hospital, because I've been on both sides of the fence, so I know what I'm talking about. And you sit beside somebody and it's doom and gloom, and it's awful that they're in that space, but that is not where you need to be if you know, if you're trying to manage your own stress and to stay optimistic and positive. And you want to be sitting beside somebody who's going, go to ARC and have a cup of tea,
Yeah,
or,
exactly.
you know,
Yeah,
or just go and chat to somebody else.
yeah, to be more positive about it. And,
Absolutely.
you know, a lot of the stuff I've learned over the last year or two, your vibration and keep it high. A lot of people talk about it. Some people say, what are you talking about? But your energy.
Yeah.
So to
Yeah.
keep it up, and it helps you recover and all
Absolutely.
areas of your
Yeah.
life. So to be
Yeah.
in a more positive space,
Yeah.
air and space, and that, instead of being, and I can imagine though, if you had cancer, you know, I was thankfully I or my
Scary.
family, but it must be very scary to
Of
be there.
course. Absolutely. And
Terrified.
I'm not judging anybody who, you know, there are days when you'll feel, you just feel very frightened yourself, you know. But if you are feeling like that yourself, you don't want to be sitting, you know, talking to somebody else that feels like that, because neither of you are going to help each other.
No.
So it's not that you're judging that person for feeling frightened. It's just they need somebody who's, you know, who's, I guess, healthy and well, or
Yeah,
somebody
and
who's very
taking out
upbeat
that
on that
space.
day.
Yeah, you don't want to be in that space together, because you're just going to go down together. It's like,
Exactly.
if you're
Yeah.
feeling a bit bad and you talk to somebody and they're feeling bad, you know, you're just going to get worse. You know,
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
what you
Absolutely.
focus on. So
Absolutely.
yeah, to take them out of that. So it sounds like a lovely. And how did you hear about that, or how, was it yourself? Were you in hospital suffering it, or?
Well,
Yeah.
I am not with cancer. No. I was in hospital. How many? I'm just trying to think how many. It was 10 years ago now. And I had a renal transplant. That was my last transplant. So, so I know what it's like. I've probably had most of the tests. You know, that when people are coming into me and chatting to me about, you know, I have to have this test, and I don't know exactly what it involves. And I can tell them, I suppose, because of my knowledge as a nurse, but also because of my experience. Now, I
Yeah.
don't go telling people, oh my God, you know, I had this test and it was like this, or, you know, very
Yeah.
frightening, but I'm just very realistic about it and listen to what the person wants to know about it, you know, that kind of a way.
Yeah.
So am I going slightly off track here? Oh yeah.
Well, you're
So
fine.
sorry.
I'm just realizing now, as you said it, I think that talk that night, or was it in somewhere else, where you said it was one of the meetings in We Can and We Will, and I think you said, yeah, was it 3 transplants you had?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
I
Yeah.
remember we were all shocked and going, what? So you just reminded me. I completely forgot about that until you said about the transplant. Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm very, very lucky to be alive. I'm very lucky to be here, and I know it. And I mean, that's why I'm so optimistic, I think, because I just love being alive, and I love, you know, I love the opportunities that we come across. And, you know, even on the days that are really, really hard, there's always something to be learned. I mean, and I have my days, you know, of course we do. And I have dogs. That's why people need dogs.
yes,
And I go for
those are
walks and
great.
things like that. So, you know, I think my lifetime has gotten me to, you know, to working in this area and to working with people that have had, I guess, significant diagnoses or something that's significant to the person. It could be, you know, migraines can be very debilitating. So it can be at any end of the scale. It's all about how we perceive things. But I have no fear, I suppose. I'm very comfortable working with anyone, whatever end of the scale they're at. And then
Yeah,
if
because
I'm
it's,
not the person for them, I will refer them on, because,
yeah,
you know, I know people to refer them on to. At this point, I know a lot of people.
I'd say
So
so. Yeah, with 3 transplants, you know, that's amazing. You know,
yeah.
and as you say,
Mhm.
you can identify with the person because you've been there, you know, so you can take the fear, which is brilliant. You know what I mean? That's, you're not just trained in the area,
Hmm.
personal experience of it, you know. And I say that's comforting for the people you're talking to, is it? Would they say that to you?
So it depends. So it depends on the situation. I don't always necessarily bring it up, but when I tend to say it, and I just say it fleetingly, because me kind of going into my story is not helpful to the person. But if I tell people, you know, I was in that position and I felt so terrified. So from that point of view, I understand what you're saying. I never feel what somebody else feels, you know.
Yeah.
But here's what's happened since then. And, you know, I love, you know, that kind of a way can be helpful for people. So I bring it up when it's helpful.
Right. Yeah.
That's
You
the,
know kind of yourself.
yeah, because the person in front of me has enough going on. The last thing they need, you know, because what I don't want to do is then put somebody in a position, you know, oh, you're all right. You know, they want to look after me.
Yeah.
That's not my job. My job is to look after the person that's in front of me. Yeah, I can share a little bit about it. If people ask me about it, I'm very open. I have, you know, no problem talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Only if it's going to be beneficial, though. Otherwise, you know,
I've heard and probably seen films or something like that, you know, people with cancer, and then they decide not to tell their family or friends. And I was kind of going, oh my God, I'd imagine I'd be telling everybody. And then when you think about it, because they have to deal then with the reaction of the relative.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
That, you know what I mean? That they need to be supported. And here you are, I've the one with cancer and they're falling down, you know. And I went,
Yeah.
oh my God, yeah, that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? So I understand what you're saying. Like you can kind of judge with when you're talking to a person and to talk about your illness. If, you know, if it helps them, if it doesn't, you wouldn't say it and that, you know, because because I just found that fascinating that you wouldn't tell people. And then I went, that makes sense. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think particularly when people get a diagnosis initially, because you've got to get used to it yourself first. You've got to get comfortable in this, because the world will respond to you how you respond to your illness or how you feel about it. And that's what you're going to get back. So once you get yourself into the headspace that you can, if you're comfortable and you want to tell people, and some people don't, and that's fine, you know, you're very confident, or you're like, well, this is what I'm going to do and this is how I'm going to deal with it. And then it puts boundaries up, so people will react back to you in the same way. You know, you won't get people, the last thing you need is somebody crying on top of you, you know.
Can you imagine? If you got that news and then somebody is kind of there crying, you're going, hello, I'm going up, you know, with the cancer, and you're crying and you're dealing.
Absolutely. Or the other thing, sometimes people react and they don't know what to say. So then they'll almost look away, or they're like, oh, I have to go, you know, and it's not that they're being bad or anything. They just don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I do know a girl, a friend of mine from a few years ago, that her kids to this day, she wouldn't be watching here, she's not even on Facebook. She's never told her children that she had breast cancer, and she's still alive. She got through it and that, you know. And I don't think her mother was alive at the time. She didn't tell her mother, and her hair was bald and she wore wigs and all. And I just couldn't figure that out at the time, years ago. But now, as you go on and you hear different people's stories, you go, I can actually understand that. You know, you want to deal with it your way, and that's the way she dealt it. She wouldn't even mention the word cancer. Didn't want to know about all these fundraisers and all this kind of thing.
Yeah. Yes.
I found that fascinating. But when I talk back, you know, when I think back now, she's right. You know, that's her way of dealing with it, and you have to respect that.
It's also to do with identity, Catherine.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's also to do with people's identity. So, you know, you don't want to be the one, oh, she's the transplant girl, or she's the cancer girl. You know, you want, like, I'm Sinead. That's who I am. Or your friend, whatever your friend's name was. So it's really important to people that they maintain their identity when they have a chronic disease or a chronic illness or a label of whatever kind you want to put on it. You know, they're still they're the same person. So you're just talking to the person. You're not talking to a disease.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That's the sentence of the night. I'm
not sure if I expressed that very well, but
no, yeah, because I'm hoping to do highlights from the talk tours. I'm going to highlight the last few months in a little clip, hopefully a minute or two. But I'm also hoping to do 30 seconds and, you know, like take a sentence like you said out, you know, and just give it to you, and you can put it on your page or whatever you want to do. It is, you know, as well. That's a thing I hope to do now in the new year. For people, you know, coming on here or whatever like that, or for myself even. But we're going off subject now.
No, that's fine. It's absolutely fine.
you know, being as a videographer, and that you do look for the sentences or the words or whatever that people would say, that's, oh my God, that's gold. You know what I mean? If you're editing together, that's what you look for, that kind of piece, and put it together. So there's a little tip for
Exactly the same as history taking. When people are giving me their history and I'm asking questions, I am looking for the highlights.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
It's the
what's
same
the most
thing.
important information here.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. You know, when I talk to people, you're getting out the information and picking it up. And, we all kind of work, we all do the same thing.
Exactly. Absolutely.
You know, you're just dealing with someone's actual, you know, sticking needles in. I'm with a camera and that, you know, but it's all about the people, the person. And I think if I'm kind of very like that, like to think about and worry about the person and all that kind of thing. And I think that would come across in your work, like you want them going out the door smiling. And I think people remember that, and people will come back to you for that, and people will feel comfortable with that. You know, the saying, who was it, Maya Angelou, I think, said it. People won't remember what you did or what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. I get shivers now even thinking about that, you know, and I've always that in my head, you know, because I'd always like to make people feel comfortable and relaxed.
Well, you make me very comfortable, and I know you because I've seen you, you know, through a group that we were in, and I'm getting tired now, so the words are not even coming out right.
Oh, don't worry about it. I'm the same. It comes across. We're probably going out with a half.
We're well over.
Yeah, we're 20 to 8. Yeah, usually I stop around 7:30. I kind of realize in my head we're going till 7:30, and then I go on another 10 minutes, and now we kept talking. So yeah, it's lovely, Sinead, having you on. Really,
thank you so much, Catherine.
Yeah, it's really interesting. That's why I love having people come on as well, because I love hearing their story, bits of their story, and I love finding out a bit more what they do. You know, I love that as well. So that was really interesting, you know. So if they want to find, it's Sinead on the Pulse. You have a Facebook page, isn't it?
I'm on the Pulse Clinics. So it's at onthepulse.clinics, I think. And I have a website. It's also, everything is on the Pulse Clinics, basically, or on the Pulse Clinic.
Yeah, they want to find you and book a session with you. So we'll say goodbye to Facebook now, Facebook Live. So I'll take a second to get out of it now, because I usually do. Stop live stream. We're gone. We're not live. Yes. But that was lovely.